Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here, and thank you at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, as always, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so would everybody please rise? And Councilman Lupinacci, would you lead us?
Sure. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone. Tonight's Town Board meeting is a Town Board voting meeting, and the date is Wednesday, January 18th, 2018. And for the record, all Town Board members are present with us this evening, as is our Town Clerk, Ann Spofford. All the way down to my right, and down to my left is Greg Fulchetti, the Carmel Town Council. So the first item on the agenda is to accept the Town Board minutes of December 20th, 2017. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution number 1 this evening is a resolution accepting a proposal for special counsel services. This is for Brad Pinsky. He's the special counsel for the fire and ambulance contracts within the town of Carmel. In particular, the ones that he's responsible for overseeing and assisting the town with respect to their financials, reviews, and contracts are for the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department and the Carmel Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Greg Fulchetti still handles Mahopac Falls' contract and
North Salem.
and North Salem's, right? Those two?
North Salem Volunteer. CVAC.
Croton Falls?
PAC. Well, North Salem Volunteer Ambulance does that
Yeah.
portion of the town of Carmel, and Mahopac Falls. Mr. Pinsky handles CVAC, Mahopac Fire Department, and Carmel Fire Department.
Okay, great. Thanks, Greg. So this is for the special counsel services for what was just outlined to you with respect to what he provides the town of Carmel. So resolution number 1, Councilman Schneider, would you read that, please?
This is a resolution accepting proposal for special counsel services. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby accepts the proposal of the Pinsky Law Firm, of the Pinsky Law Group, PLLC of Syracuse, New York, for the provision of special counsel and legal services in connection with the Town of Carmel and its contracts with various not-for-profit contractors for fiscal year 2018. Said proposal to be in form as is currently on file in the office of the Town Supervisor and an aggregate annual rate not to exceed $20,000. And be it further resolved that the cost of said services shall be apportioned accordingly to the fire protection districts, ambulance districts, etc., for which said services shall be provided. And be it further resolved that upon presentation of insurance certificates in form acceptable to Town Council, Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all necessary contract documentation to effect acceptance of this proposal upon the terms authorized herein. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilman Schneider, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough? No. Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. 5 yes, thank you. Okay, next resolution.
4 yes, 1 no.
What's
I
that?
voted
Who
4
voted
yes.
no?
I did.
You voted no, I'm sorry.
You got it.
1 no.
4 yes.
She got it.
I didn't even hear that.
She got it.
All right,
And I have my mic on.
4 yes, 1 no. Sorry, Sue.
That's okay.
Okay, next resolution, number 2, is a resolution authorizing attendance at a seminar. This is for the Recreation and Parks Department. Susie, would you read number 2?
Sure, resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes Town of Carmel Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., Director of Recreation and Parks James Gilchrist, Senior Recreation Leader Nina Kalmeyer, and any advisory board members of the Lake Cassie, Lake Secor, Lake Mahopac, Upper and Lower Tea Kettle Spout, Lake District, Park Districts to attend the Putnam County Department of Health Blue-Green Algae Seminar in Carmel, New York on January 23, 2018. And be further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel authorizes payment of any reasonable and necessary expenses incurred in connection therewith upon audit. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Schneider and Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. That carried 5 yes.
Yeah.
No votes, no no's and no abstentions. This is extremely important that all these individuals are attending this seminar that's hosted by the Putnam County Department of Health, because last year, as you recall, we had many instances where the Health Department had to close our beaches, and it was due to the blue-green algae that was springing up. Seemed to be a lot of lakes and ponds, mostly smaller ponds and lakes in New York State, so it wasn't just limited to the Putnam County, Town of Carmel area, but this problem was widespread, and they're going to be discussing what can be done to mitigate this problem, if anything. So it's good that they're having this, because I believe the Lake Cassie Beach area was closed for about a month and a half during the summer months. It was closed all of August and maybe the last week in July, so those residents didn't have an opportunity to swim in Lake Cassie and use the beach area because of this. So it's good that they're having this, they're being proactive, they're trying to come up with solutions, and hopefully there's some answers that would mitigate that problem for the future, and hopefully this summer it'll be open, if they can come up with a solution as to what's creating the issue, the problem. Okay, next resolution, number 3, is a resolution authorizing a renewal of a licensing agreement with ASCAP, and this is also tied to the Recreation Department. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 3?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the renewal of the license agreement with ASCAP for public performances of copyrighted music in or at Town of Carmel parks and facilities for the year 2018 at an annual rate of $348, and be it further resolved that the Town of Carmel Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign any necessary documents and/or reports concerning said renewal on behalf of the Town of Carmel. I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 4, is a resolution authorizing a request for proposals. This is also recreation-related. Councilman Borelli, would you read 4, please?
Yes. Resolved that pursuant to the request of James R. Gilchrist, Town of Carmel, Director of Recreation and Parks, the Town Clerk of the Town of Carmel is hereby authorized to solicit proposals for a vendor to operate the concession stand at Sycamore Park for a 3-year period commencing March 21st, 2018. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is a resolution awarding a bid for dry cleaning of police uniforms. Councilman Schneider, would you read 5, please?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel has previously authorized advertisement for the solicitation of bids for dry cleaning of police department uniforms for the Town of Carmel Police Department in fiscal year 2018, and whereas such bids were received and opened on November 28, 2017, and whereas Chief of Police Michael Kazari has recommended the awarding of the bid as set forth hereafter, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby awards the dry cleaning of police department uniforms for fiscal year 2018 to PNV Cleaners Corp., DBA Mahopac Launderaid, and Dry Cleaners of 980 South Lake Boulevard, Mahopac, New York, the lowest responsible bidder who met specifications. I offer the resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution awarding a bid for the purchase of police uniforms. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 6, please?
Sure, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel has previously authorized advertisement for the solicitation of bids for police department uniforms for the Town of Carmel Police Department in fiscal year 2018, and whereas such bids were received and opened on November 28, 2017, and whereas Chief of Police Michael Kazari has recommended the awarding of the bid as set forth hereafter. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby awards the bids for the police department uniforms to New England Uniform, 356 Main Street, Danbury, Connecticut, the lowest responsible bidder who met specifications at the following bid prices. Flying Cross Gore-Tex Public Safety Jacket, $230 each. Flying Cross single-breasted dress coat, $207 each. A summer cap, $8.31 each. Winter cap, $8.29 each. Raincoat, $165 each. Summer shirt, $53.75 each. A winter shirt, did I say summer shirt first? Summer shirt, now winter shirt, $57.75 each. Pants Flying Cross Wool Blend, $84.75 each. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Schneider and Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution number 7 is a resolution authorizing Chief of Police to proceed with the purchase of new police vehicles. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 7, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes Chief of Police Michael Kazari to proceed to purchase 3 new 2018 Dodge Charger all-wheel drive police vehicles from Robert Greene Truck Division, Rock Hill, New York, at a unit cost not to exceed $34,611.69 under Onondaga County Number 8771 statewide piggyback bid pursuant to General Municipality Law, Section 103, subsection 16, and be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign all necessary documents to purchase said vehicles from Robert Greene Truck Division in accordance with their contract quotation dated January 2nd, 2018. Be it further resolved that Town Comptroller Marianne Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget revisions to effect the aforesaid purchase transaction authorized within. I offer this resolution as read.
Thanks.
Second.
Mike, did you second it?
Yeah.
Yes, seconded by Councilman Borelli and Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 8, is a resolution authorizing acceptance of a proposal for the Town of Carmel Police Vehicle Equipment. Councilman Borelli, would you read 8, please?
Whereas Chief of Police Michael Kazari has previously solicited proposals for the cost of outfitting 3 new Town of Carmel police vehicles with computer, mobile telecommunications, and electronic equipment. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of Chief of Police Michael Kazari, hereby accepts the proposal of Island Tech Services, Ronkonkoma, New York, for the installation of computers, mobile telecommunication, and electronic equipment for said vehicles at a cost not to exceed $19,062.75, and in accordance with their proposal dated August 28, 2017. Be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Ken Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign any and all documentation necessary to accept the proposal and authorize the actions contained herein. And be it further resolved that Town Controller Marianne Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilman Borelli, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, the ninth resolution this evening is a resolution authorizing entry into a contract with the Carmel Fire Protection District Number 3. Councilman Schneider, would you read number 9, please?
Whereas appropriations have been made in the 2018 town budget for entry into various contracts for the provision of various services to the town of Carmel, and whereas a public hearing was duly held on said contracts on November 8, 2017, and copies of said contracts are on file in the Office of the Town Supervisor for the inspection and review of all town board members. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to enter into and execute on behalf of the town contracts with the following contractors for the services indicated in an amount not to exceed that set forth below. Contractor is Carmel Fire Department, Inc. Service is Fire Protection and Fire Protection District Number 3, and the cost is not to exceed an amount of $727,000. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. So that completes the agenda items for this evening's Town Board voting meeting.
I have 1 or 2 more, Kenny, I'd like to read and see what happens with them.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to rescind the resolution that was acted on December 20th, 2017 by this town board minus myself for consulting engineer contract.
Okay, that's your motion, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that motion. So it was a motion made by Councilman Borelli and seconded by myself to rescind the contract that was voted on by the town board on December 20th of 2017, awarding a contract to JFR Services Incorporated. So, Ann, would you do a roll call vote on that, please?
Sure. Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
No.
Councilman Lupinacci?
No.
Councilwoman McDonough?
No.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. So the motion failed, as there were 3 noes and 2 yeses on that motion.
Have one more on that, Ken?
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to have a resolution to abolish the position of the town engineer.
Okay, there's a motion made by Councilman Borelli to abolish the position of the Carmel Town Engineer's position. That would be the full-time town engineer's position. Motion by Councilman Borelli. Is there a second on his motion?
The position of the department.
The position.
The position.
The position. The position of town engineer.
Full-time position of town engineer.
Right.
Carmel
Right.
Town Engineer.
So there's a motion. Is there a second on the motion? Second? No. Okay.
No, I didn't think there would be.
No.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Being a newbie, can you please explain to me why we're the only town in Westchester or Putnam that has a town engineer and a consulting engineer, and why we have the highest budgeted engineering department? I'm trying to figure that out for the taxpayers and for myself.
Well, that's a good question, Mike. And I can't tell you, and I can't, share with the public tonight why that is the case, that we're the only town in Putnam or Westchester, you stated,
Correct.
that has the position of a full-time town engineer and also a consulting engineering services contract.
The consulting engineer that's on a, shall we say, a salary too, besides the contract.
Right, right. Yeah,
Basic service.
yeah.
Nobody
I-
can tell
Why,
me.
it's, I'm not really sure exactly why. Does any of the other town board members want to comment on this
Nope.
at this time? No. So,
Okay.
Maybe what we could do is bring it up
I
in a work
thank you for the
session item.
taxpayers, I guess.
Maybe what we could do is bring it up in a work session item, and we can have discussion on everything, and we can have information on everything, and we can discuss it as a group.
I'm for that.
Well, the question was asked in a work session also, on December 20th. It wasn't answered then either.
well, I think for the benefit of the public, since they're paying for those services, the taxpayers are,
That's why.
I think they have a right to know, and they should know, because it should be transparent, what the services are that are being provided by JFR Associates.
Well, no, I'm not questioning the services provided. I'm questioning the fact that we're the only town in Westchester or Putnam County that has 2 engineers and a budget of $600,000.
Yorktown's higher. Yorktown's over 790,000. I'd rather not get into like a thing. I'd rather have, I think what Councilman Snyder suggested, and you could bring up all your points and your data to go through like a work session, so we could all cross our Ts and dot our Is, because Yorktown has a bigger engineering.
Yorktown also has a DPW.
I think they have a full-time planner also that falls under engineering.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To compare apples to apples, you'd have
Yeah.
to start really, peeling the onion and looking at the data.
It's a simple question. Why do we have 2?
So, and you and I have had this conversation before that Bedford has 2. They don't call it a town engineer, they call it a head of DPW who happens to have a PE licensed engineer as their head of their DPW. So you could say,
The consulting engineer in Bedford doesn't draw a salary. He's called in as needed and is billed when his time is needed.
that is true.
So they don't have 2 on staff drawing the salary. I just think it's something that should be discussed at a work session. I think it's something that should be discussed seriously in the very near future. for the benefit of the people in Carmel's Water District 2, for the benefit of the taxpayers in every district that we have. And this town pretty much, the entire town is pretty much composed of special districts. And I think the taxpayers deserve an explanation.
I think at that meeting, I'd also like to have it brought up on relation to DPW. I mean, it's been brought up a couple times in the discussion just tonight. I think it's something that we should be looking at. If we're going to look at the delivery of services throughout the town, we should be looking at DPW. We should be looking at everyone that we have. We should be looking at every department that we have.
Yep.
And to make sure that it's at least delivered the most efficient way possible, so that it's doing the right thing for the taxpayer.
I also think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I agree with you, Jonathan. The first thing I did when, after I won the election is I went to Michael in the Highway Department. I went to the Building Department, I went to the Engineering Department, and I says, in 4 years, I'd like to see a DPW for the benefit of the taxpayers. But I don't think this is the way to start out, going towards a DPW with 2 engineers on staff, especially with a 4-year contract. So I think it's a discussion that should be made, and it should be made fairly soon.
Well, so what we need to do is, and I agree that we should put it on as a work session item, we need to review exactly what the duties and responsibilities are of the town engineer, the full-time town engineer, and the consulting engineer.
And their staff.
And, well, the consulting engineer doesn't have a staff.
No, I'm saying,
Oh,
if we
oh, yeah,
compare
yeah, yeah,
ourselves to
yeah.
other towns.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
what's their staff, how many water districts, how many sewer districts, and you gotta start,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta take a look at,
Yeah, I believe the town engineer gave everybody a copy of his workload. Gave me one today.
he gave it last year sometime to us.
Okay, so I think, Jonathan, I think you have a good suggestion, that we should do that in the near future. We'll put that on as a work session item, and it'll be discussed more thoroughly then, and I'm sure between now and then, there'll be a lot of review, a lot of research done with respect to what towns provide, both, if any, you know, exactly what their services are, how they're, you know, and the size of their staff, to your point, John, how big is the staff in their particular engineering department, their infrastructure, water, sewer districts alike, and things like that. I know in Bedford, the DPW commissioner also runs the highway department. So he's the Mike Simone of Bedford. So he wears a couple of hats over there as the commissioner of the DPW. So there's a lot.
He has like 4 to 5 appointed foremen also. So, you know, we have to frame it
Right.
and analyze the big picture.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I agree. All right, so we'll do that. We'll put that on, and we'll have it on for future discussion, okay? Sue, good?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do that. All right, Mike, is that all you had?
That's it.
Those two? Okay, all right. That concludes the voting meeting for this evening. Is there any members of the public that would like to come up and comment on agenda items? Yep, Dave, come on up. Just the agenda for now, Dave?
Yeah, I just have a quick question or two about number 1. And I'm assuming this is a 1-year contract you just voted on?
It is.
It is.
And I'm amazed, there isn't anyone that's already on the payroll of the town that can review fire department and ambulance contracts without giving somebody on the outside $20,000 a year to look at contracts?
Well, you want, go ahead, Jim.
I mean, I think you were going to say that Mr. Pinsky's an expert in the field. This board, during the situation with what happened with Mahopac, wants to keep an independent third party. It's not in the job description to have Mary Ann Maxwell, the comptroller, to do that. We don't audit, Mary Ann doesn't audit any of the other vendors, and Carmel is a vendor. So for the taxpayers' protection of what happened, we went to an outside third-party expert. So for $20,000, yes, it's a lot of money, but the control and the safe gaps that he does, it would be similar if they were a district, and then they would have to report all of their findings up to Albany. So in essence, we've created or tried to create like a little, and Jonathan, keep me honest, and you know better than I do, you know, it's a fire protection district, but we're trying to look at it as if it's a district and send their financials to a third-party expert to make sure that everything is being done correctly, and then
And they're different than the falls, because I heard you say that Greg reviews the contracts of the falls.
There's a couple of components to it. Mr. Pinsky has taken over the part of the contract negotiations for the annual agreements we have with the vendors, with the Mayapack Fire Department, with the Carmel Fire Department, and Carmel Volunteer Ambulance. But the overwhelming majority of his services are related to the auditing of the day-to-day finances of the Mayapack Volunteer Fire Department. So that in light of the events of 2015 and 2016, that the town board is convinced that the monies that are being utilized under the contract payments are being appropriately used. And that's his function, to review the data and report back to the town on any comments and any questions he has and anything that he feels needs to be addressed. And I would say that's 80% of what his contract services are for. The contract documents themselves are fairly boilerplate. They've been used throughout the years with the modifications as time has required, but his services are largely for the other purpose.
Also, was any of that money ever recovered? That $6 million or whatever?
There was $1 million of it recovered through insurance. So the insurance company that the fire department had, they recovered $1 million, were paid as on a claim that was submitted to them, and they funded it, so, yes.
Nothing back from the guy that stole it?
No, there's been assets that Mr. Klein had appropriated with the embezzled money, the stolen funds, that the federal government does have. They've seized those items, and I assume that at some point.
Restitution was a part of the plea agreement, so that's something that'll play out over the course of time.
They got $1 million from the insurance company. They'll get some more from restitution, but I wouldn't bet on too much.
When they sell off those assets, you mean?
When they sell off the assets, yes, there'll be some monies that will be recovered through that. The seizures of the auction or the sale of those will eventually wind up, the funds recovered from that would wind up going back to the fire department.
Okay.
Doesn't
thanks.
come back to the town, it goes back to the fire department who was the victim of the crime.
Was their budget increased? I know they were put in for some money recently.
It
More
was
money.
not, no. They requested a $200,000 increase. They requested from 1.2 million to 1.4 million. And,
The increase was 4.
no.
No, it was
1.4.
originally
They want
1.7, we dropped it to
200 more.
1.2, they requested 1.4 on this previous year, and we kept it at 1.2.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and comment on agenda items that we covered this evening? Okay, how about open forum, new business portion of the meeting where you can come up and comment to the board or make a statement to the board with respect to new business? Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for approving our water main. Just wanted to know the status, what's going on.
February 7th, next meeting.
Next
and
meeting
we're
is on
able
the-
to-
February 7th is
I think we met, you and I met yesterday, and I think that the agenda for next week's work session is going to be to discuss the actual plan for the implementation of the improvements. The earliest that the contract could be voted on to award the actual work would be February 7th, based on the estoppel period. But I do believe it's going to be a work session item next week for the proposed main replacement, and then another item or a sub-item to deal with some of the other concerns and facilities within the district that were brought up in our last discussion. So I think it's on the agenda for next week, although it's not published. I think it's supposed to be. Is that right?
it is, yes.
Okay.
How are we getting contractors lined up to bid on this in 1 week?
I'll say,
Go ahead.
the town board directed engineering and the engineering consultant back in November or December to come up with unit cost figures for contractors to do the work, based on the possibility that you would declare it an emergency and go out to construct the improvements without a bid. And that's what was done. So that's how the numbers came about, at the direction of that board. Whether you want to accept them or not is going to be up to you.
So when you declare an emergency, how do we get the contractors to bid? Who picks the contractors to bid?
The town board was provided with the names of 2 contractors who would propose unit cost prices for the job. Those are all in the report, the map planning report. If you're, go ahead.
Doesn't the town use more than 2 contractors?
In this model, that's what was directed. And normally, you put it out to a general bid. But what the scope was here is, it's an emergency, we're going to award it because of the situation with the water, and you don't have time to prepare bid specifications and go out to a standard general municipal law bid. You're free to do it either way.
I just want this gentleman to understand that before he leaves.
Thank you.
And if you could,
And listen, as a new resident here, I found last week's meeting very, very informative. And I had some ideas on what to do with the water. I don't know if this is the time to present them or talk about it. I don't know how you go about that.
I would hold off until the 24th. That's when the engineers are going to be here.
Okay,
So I
because,
prefer that you make your statement or your comments with the engineers being present.
Well,
So maybe they might be able to respond.
because we have a water filter expert as a resident and as a water filter expose going on to Marriott, I was thinking in my mind of recycling the water that we're already treating and putting back into Lake Lenita and introduce that back into our drinking water system. And I know,
Can I ask you who the water filter expert is?
there was a gentleman here, I don't know his name.
He was referring to Greg Elner.
Oh, okay.
It's his company.
Is it? Oh, okay.
But even if we had to distill the water, we could put a cogen plant in.
You should talk to Greg about that.
Excuse me?
It's interesting you came up with that, because that's a concept that Greg works with.
I would love to see a feasibility study. If we put a cogen plant in, we could distill the water, sell it to the hospital. I want the hospital to have as much water as they need. We can make money selling water to the hospital. We can make money putting electric back into the grid. We could be green. We could be on top of everything. We could actually make this a pilot plan that they could do it to the whole state. This would be a really good thing. Instead of paying for the water twice.
Just so I understand, you're referring to the water treatment plant that we have to build.
Right.
All right, so you're suggesting that it should be designed and built a certain way?
Sure. Why not?
And how exactly is that you want it to be built? Explain to me one more time, because I may have missed it, I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
How I want it to be built.
What you just said,
Distill the water,
yeah?
treat it, so put electrolytes back in the water, put it back into the drinking water system. And by doing that, we could put a cogen plant in.
We have a water district where we pull from the Glenida and we filter it. That's what they
Right.
were talking about.
Correct.
And then Mr. Albano was talking about how our sewer district takes in and we put back 70% of the water that we take out
Back
of
into the
Glenida,
lake.
we put it back into the stream. We have to, and we're putting it back cleaner than what we've pulled it out. So you're talking about the discharge from the sewer.
Put it back into the drinking
The
water.
effluent, the effluent from the sewer that's released back into the New York City watershed, because that's where it winds up.
Right.
Okay.
Back in the stream. That
So
goes to
it
the
goes
watershed.
into the stream that flows into the Croton Falls Reservoir that winds up eventually back in New
Well,
York
we
City.
could distill that water. We could make electricity. We could sell it back to the hospital, and we're paying less money. And that reduces the impact on our water treatment plant now, and we could look at that and how to upgrade that. And it would be a brilliant thing.
I'm just missing the part about selling it back to the hospital. How do you suggest we do that?
You put the water back into the system and keep the water on our grid so that they would be a big customer of ours to get money back.
He's basically saying we're buying the water and then we're giving it away,
We'll give it back. Yeah.
which has been something we've
Instead
all
of
been
giving it
talking
away,
about for a long
we
time.
do it, we make it on both ends.
It'll never
Very green,
happen.
too.
The secret is to get New York City to the table and say, we're paying for water that we're giving back to you.
Well, the city's for another discussion. I got some
Well,
ideas
no,
on that
that's the
too.
city's, that's
the
the
was
majority of the
watching-
state of Arizona actually treats their water that way. Since there's such
Absolutely.
a short
They do it all
supply,
over
the
the place.
majority of it goes that way.
Why are we not
But
doing it?
if you could do me a favor, just because we need to get your name for the town
Tom
clerk.
Fitzpatrick,
Thank you very much.
no problem.
And
But
thank you
it's
for the
not all over
suggestions,
place.
because I think it's something that should definitely be looked at. I personally, until I see some amazing evidence that it's completely the greatest thing since sliced bread, it's going to be tough for me to say, let's take effluent from a sewer and put it into people's
No,
drinking
let's hire a brilliant engineer,
Yeah.
let's get a feasibility study, let's get some numbers together. I think it's a great solution to something that's a problem.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an
Not just for
alternative that should be
district number
researched.
2, but, from what I read in the paper, it's all over the place.
Thank you.
Start here, or start somewhere. You don't have to
Well,
start.
I'm also of the belief, based on some of the things I heard last week, is that the hospital should have its own standalone water treatment plant.
No, you need
But I
that.
also
You
got a
need
lot of
that as one of your
information
customers.
that contradicts that.
That contradicts what was said about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm seeing 5.5% average use over the past 4 years out of the entire district. I have the
Not
numbers.
the numbers that we
Not
were-
the 30%. So
Okay.
I think that, and I want to get the information that they had as well. I've already requested that. The gentleman who presented, he's out in Colorado, but hopefully he'll be getting me that information because I want to compare everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting very differing stories on that. And I think it's very important that we have all the information before we make any
So there's some
decisions on that.
discrepancies on the numbers.
Very large from what I've seen, but I haven't seen their numbers, so I
Okay.
want to see where they got their information
All right.
from to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples
Right, so
again.
we can make an informed
Right.
decision and have an informed discussion.
Absolutely.
All right, good.
But
Thanks.
that's a big customer that would really have a big impact on our facility. You want to keep them on the grid, you want to give them as much water as they could use. You want to keep them here, you want them to grow, you want that to be a great hospital that it's good to have. Why not? So I would like to see a feasibility study on how to do that, and how much it would cost, and just to get the jobs, you'd have boiler guys, you'd have electricians, you'd have plumbers. It's a great thing. You bring some high-paying jobs to the area. It's a good thing all around. So I would love to see something done, see how that could go further.
All right, and I also love to see the board go forward with litigating New York City with respect to Lake Lenina's water.
I
Or
did see on
lobbying New York
YouTube,
City.
Or lobbying New York City. I think
Definitely.
that's something that we definitely need to do. We have to pursue that.
Still do.
Because, listen, nothing ventured, nothing gained. We need to do that because we're spending almost $1 million, as Councilman Borelli had stated last week, on New York City drinking water.
Correct.
That we're paying them for.
Absolutely.
So Lake Lenina is in the town of Carmel.
but just think, if we're not pumping that water back into the lake, we're pumping it into the system, we're going to use half the water.
Yeah. No, you bring up a good
500,000.
point. I don't disagree with you. But it might be something that we should,
But I did see on YouTube when the people from Mayapack were complaining about the taxes, they were saying sue, sue, sue.
yeah.
You have a bully stealing your lunch, you can't play nice. You have to say, hey, listen, and you know what, I double dog dare you to stop the water coming to us, and, let's send a couple of buses down to City Hall, hey, shutting off our water. I think that's illegal in the first place, but I don't know. I'm not a
Well,
lawyer.
we shouldn't be helping New York City balance their books on the backs of the Carmel taxpayers.
New
'Cause
York
that's
City's never
exactly
going to
what
balance
they're
their
doing.
books, forget about it.
That's
It's not our
exactly what's
problem.
going on. They're taking that $1 million, they're putting it towards the bottom line, and we're an upstate user. Do you think they really care about the upstate users? All they care about is how much money they're going to bleed out of us.
Listen, it's
And
my
that's what they've been
understanding you
doing.
own the property around the lake, you don't own the water in the lake. That's not yours. And if you're not, and that's for another
And
day.
that's been our argument also. And that's
I
part
would
of
love
what.
to, I would love to see a study done where we can make some money on this. It might be a good thing for everybody,
Okay.
please.
Point well taken.
And if you need anything, I can help you guys. I did a lot of planning, I did DEP work, all kinds of stuff, so anytime.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for the offer.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up at this time? New business? Okay, there being none, does town board members have any announcements?
I just want to, Bob, if you don't mind, we're talking about the de-icers next week, right?
We are, yeah.
Yeah, if you could put something in the paper regarding, that we're going to be talking about the de-icers next week at our work session? It did?
We could do it on Facebook,
All right.
they could do it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And the,
Oh, that's
YouTube,
right.
Twitter,
Yeah, it's a week.
Or no?
It should be out there. She's talking about next
Yeah.
24th.
24th.
People left here that night thinking it was the 7th. Okay?
You know,
No, the bubblers.
the bubblers,
The de-icers.
the bubblers, the
The lake-
de-icers.
The lake de-icers.
Yeah,
With Carmel
Yes.
Water too, though, those people left here
Yeah.
thinking they have to come back on the 7th.
yeah, we're going to
Not the
talk about it at the
24th.
work session and possibly do, make legislation. So anybody listening, next week, we are going to be talking about de-icers. So if you're interested or have information, please attend next Wednesday at 7 PM.
Gephardt in
Ann,
Colorado.
what were the three items, aside from the bubblers? There was something else, wasn't there? Was it the tow agreement?
The tow agreement
The-
and,
the- Tow agreement, bubblers, there was one other thing that you asked to be put on, Greg. Do you remember what that was?
I'm drawing a blank, but yes, there are.
Carmel, right, not Carmel, Jimmy and,
the
Parks
Department, that's right.
Oh, the Recreation Department possibly.
You want to announce that too?
Recreation.
I don't know what they're coming for, though.
Recreation bubblers.
I think the airport, discuss.
John, they're coming
Is
to
it the
discuss
airport?
the airport property?
I think all the parks, if I remember correctly, I think they're gonna,
Airport and
I think McDonough and the airport are the top ones, but I think it's all parks.
Okay, and then next week also, we're going to be, Recreation is going to be coming in to talk about, obviously, the recreation with the airport property, I'm assuming Sycamore Park and McDonough Park. Again, so if you want to be actively involved with recreation, with the bubblers or de-icers, please attend next week's meeting.
Okay. All right, thanks, Sue. Does anybody else have anything? Mike?
No.
No? John?
No.
All right, we do have one executive session item tonight that we need to go into discuss, and this is a personnel item that is, I'll just say it's related to the courts. Um,
The Carmel's having their street.
Oh, they are, when? When is that? It's in April, so April 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, this is from the Chamber of Commerce. They're having their Carmel Showcase, where it promotes your businesses. Last year they did it, they had the inaugural one.
First one.
It was well-attended. It's up in the hamlet of Carmel. It's on April 28th this year. So please visit the Mahopac Carmel Chamber of Commerce website or call the Greater Mahopac Carmel Chamber of Commerce at 628-5553 to sign up or get further information about the street festival. There's vendors, food, entertainment, rides, funds for the whole family. It's the Carmel Spring Fair is what they're calling it. It's to showcase your business. It's the second one. It's from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, April 28th. 628-5553 for further information. If you're a vendor and you want to showcase your products, that's a perfect place for you to do it. They have one up in the hamlet of Carmel in the spring, and the other one is in the hamlet of Mahopac in, is it September or early October?
October.
October.
Ken? Sorry.
It's with the Columbus
Oh, with the
Day.
Columbus Day Parade, yeah. So, all right. That's all
Supervisor,
we have for
the other-
tonight. I need a motion to go into,
Kenny,
The other item was wetlands, Kenny.
what's the other one?
The other item was wetlands. Chapter 89 of the proposed revisions to Chapter 89 of the Town Code.
That's right.
Bubblers, wetlands, and towing.
Okay.
Those are the three local laws that were on for discussion.
And
Wetlands.
that's to discuss the strength of the ECB board, the voting members' strength?
Board composition, there's some other proposed changes to the law as it exists,
Okay.
but the primary concern was the board size and composition.
All right.
I know, I remember.
Oh, I don't know if that's on or not, no. Okay. All right, great. So I need a motion to go into executive session?
so moved.
Second.
So moved by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll see you here next week for a town board work session.